Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and thanks to all of our witnesses. I know many of you traveled a long way for this hearing, and we appreciate you being here and sharing your perspective, and also the passion that several of you bring to this subject. Mr. Williams, I want to ask you a little more about the salmon issue that I was discussing with the previous panel. The draft EIS for the Roadless Rule exemption cites no effects at all on the fishing industry. And you heard my conversation with Mr. French. He was fairly sanguine about the whole thing, as I understood it, because he believes that the watershed protections in the 2016 Tongass Land and Resource Management Plan will suffice to protect salmon. So I want to ask you, I find it hard to believe that a rule like this would not have adverse effects on salmon, but I want to ask you to just speak very directly to that.
Thank you. The draft EIS is clear that the biggest threat to salmon on the Tongass is roads, and in particular sedimentation from roads. By exempting the Tongass from the roadless rule and creating new roads into new portions of the forest that otherwise would be off limits to that type of activity, we will be increasing the likelihood of sediment introduced into streams, which adversely affects salmon spawning and rearing. We will be adding to the backlog of road maintenance costs that are currently out of control on the Tongass. And we will also be adding to the problems of culverts and bridges that block salmon migration, not to mention stream temperature issues and a variety of other problems. So salmon will be impacted by this exemption.
Now, you are very familiar with the standards and the guidance that were put in place under the 2016 Land and Resource Management Plan. Why are those not sufficient to protect this world-class salmon fishery?
Sure. So the forest plan outlines standards and guides affecting logging activities near salmon streams. They provide, as you mentioned earlier, a 100-foot buffer. That buffer can be extended. One of the problems that we have experienced is there is often wind throw in Southeast Alaska, which can adversely affect narrow stream buffers. We also have incidences of fish kills in watersheds that have been heavily logged in the past, as well as unstable slopes and landslides often associated with logging roads. And so there will be impacts. The forest plan certainly is an improvement in its standards and guides over logging activities that have occurred decades ago, but it does not eliminate the impacts as has been represented.
And for the draft EIS to state that there are no impacts, no adverse impacts on fisheries, that's just not a credible claim in your opinion?
Correct.
I know that you work in Alaska, but Trout Unlimited is also a national organization, and we are talking about a world-class salmon resource here when we talk about America's salmon forest. Could you speak to what it means for the sportsmen and fishermen around the country, the national significance of the Tongass for those who like to hunt and fish?
Sure. The Tongass is amazing. It is one of the largest salmon-producing regions in the world. 50 million salmon are commercially caught from the region. In a typical year, it has abundant populations of all 5 North American Pacific salmon. Steelhead salmon streams, I don't want to tell you where they are, but there are a lot of incredible salmon streams.
You can show me.
Yes, we'll go there maybe someday. It is a world-class destination. People from all over the globe travel to Southeast Alaska. That's part of why the economic base in the region has become so heavily geared towards fishing, towards tourism, and towards those values.